Hey everybody, this is Angela Sasser of angelasasser.com, fantasy artist, Art Nouveau illustrator, and lover of macaroons. Yes! Welcome to my monthly studio hangout for August 2017. I'm here to talk about how my month's been and let my fans know what I've been up to, show off some new art, and talk about the dragon in the room, DragonCon. I've been spending most of this month busy with DragonCon, preparing for DragonCon, or having guests stay with me for DragonCon, and thinking about DragonCon. So now that it's over, here I am posting this video late because it's September now and it should have been posted in August, but you can forgive me, right? So, first up on the agenda for this studio hangout, what art did I make in August? Well, it's been a really busy time doing a lot of convention prep, so I didn't do a ton of art, but what I did finish is this awesome portrait of a ninja right here. This ninja is the character that my husband, in all his geekery, role plays in a tabletop game. The game is Exalted, for those who don't know. It's basically badass is chosen by the sun to fight evil and put the world right again, or maybe destroyed in the process. I also roleplay in this game. You can see the character right behind me here. That's who I roleplay in Exalted. I used this picture as a big experiment to see if I could draw stuff live on the internet for you guys. So if you want to see me as I was working on this image and rambling about geeky stuff, go look on my YouTube channel and you can see as I work on that picture live. It was pretty fun, and I hope to get back to doing more live streams on YouTube Live, or find some way to simulcast between Twitch and YouTube Live. I like both these formats, and I'll probably keep using them. So you can follow me on Twitch or follow me on YouTube, and you'll get a notice about when I go live. So check that out. I'm really, really excited and happy with how all the glowing effects on that scythe were finished and just how he came out. I can't wait to draw the rest of our circle of solars. It's going to be a lot of fun. And that's a picture I did for fun, just to keep my own sanity during this crazy month of DragonCon prep. Now, I've also been working on another watercolor painting for the Ladies of the Month's Birthstone series. I'm on the Lady of August right now, but she refuses to be rushed out. I've been working on this picture for the last month now, trying to finish convention prep and this really intense painting that just refuses to be rushed. So you can check out the work in progress shots here. You can see the thumbnails and some of the fashion sketching I've been doing in the line art. It's all cropped for now, but if you're one of my Patreon patrons, you can see the full view and also read all the design notes and process notes that I wrote about this painting and shared on Patreon, just in my Patreon only post. So only Patreon people can see it right now. So click the link and go pitch in over there if you want to be in on the ground floor for all these intense paintings I've been working on. So now the big question, how was my DragonCon? Well, there's a format I like to follow when talking about DragonCon. And first, number one, what was the best cosplay that I saw from the con? Well, my friends, it was this awesome lady right here cosplaying Olenna Tyrell. I just can't. I wish I had seen her in person because she was amazing. And when I get older, I want to be her. I want to be this lady right here. She wins the internet. She won the convention. I really wish I had seen her in person. Great cosplay and good job on the photography as well. Next, as far as DragonCon goes, I gotta talk about the art show. It's always one of my favorite events that I look forward to every year because there's just so many talented folks that I like to see when I go there. And this year was extra special because I got to meet so many of my fellow changelings. I'm part of the Changeling Artist Collective, and I got to meet Amanda Makeface, Naomi Van Doren, and so many other wonderful artists. It's just, I see them online and we interact online all the time, but seeing people face to face is just warms my heart and helps me feel less like a hermit living alone in the art cave. So meeting people, great. My bay looked awesome, as you guys know, or don't know if you're new. This year was big for me because I wanted to debut my Ladies of the Month Birthstone series in a big way. I've already done a practice run of the display at DragonCon, so I wanted to go even bigger for DragonCon. You can see I've got the signage on the bottom of each bay. I've got each framed lady there with her masks. I mean, I was really proud of this display, and I thought it looked gorgeous. I even managed to remember a sign-up sheet and little description cards beside each painting, so I felt pro this year, and I feel like it looked good. So hopefully you guys got to drop by and see it in person, because you've got to see these paintings in person. The shine from the gold leaf and the silver leafing is just so pretty in person. So if you actually saw my bay at DragonCon, drop a comment and let me know. I'd love to know who was there and who I missed, because it was so crazy running around the con. Okay, so here we are at the question, the big question. How did I do in the art show? I know a lot of my friends at the show were asking, and I wasn't really sure how to answer you guys because I didn't want to crush everyone's positivity while I was there. To be honest, guys, I sold zip in the gallery bay. None of the paintings or masks sold, but I did, however, sell some prints in the art show. So it wasn't a total loss. I made just about enough to cover my art show fee and badges, but otherwise it was a complete disaster for me this year. And that was something I was dealing with emotionally over the weekend, watching while everyone else was selling pretty well, and while my stuff kind of sat there gathering dust. And my initial reaction was to be like, well, nobody wants the ladies. They're so pointless and ugly, and nobody loves them, and I should just quit forever, and I'm gonna eat my feelings. But after I ate my feelings on Sunday, I was feeling better. I was able to calm down and realize, look, everybody has bad shows. Granted, none of the ladies sold at DragonCon either. But this is where I need to ask myself a very important question. Are the ladies really good for this crowd? I've been testing them with the fantasy crowd because I felt like there was some crossover between imaginative realism and fantasy and Art Nouveau, because there are other Art Nouveau artists in the show. And I think the question is, yes, there's still some relevance and overlap in the audience, but these originals were not cheap. They were very expensive. I think the lowest minimum bid I had on the big paintings, because they were so intricate, was $700. The masks are limited to only 10 in a series, so those were, I think, $125 at the lowest. My stuff ain't cheap, and I noticed some of the stuff that did sell at the con was lower than that. It was stuff that was under $300, and that's fine. That's fair if that's the crowd that's buying at the show. That's not too incredibly cheap, but it's too low of a price for me to sell these originals. So in that respect, I cannot kill myself for these paintings and sell them cheap. I just can't do it. And if that means I'm not going to sell at a show, then I need to rethink my strategy here. Because in the end, I did do really well in the print shop. I sold out of a couple of my bag offerings, my dice bag offerings. I sold most of a few of the print offerings I had. And it proved to me that if I had had maybe some lower priced options, maybe some mid-tier G-Clay prints instead of just original paintings in the gallery bay, I might have been able to sell more. Especially in that I did not have a table this year. Because I suspect if I did have a table, I would have been able to sell a lot more of the lower priced items and made a lot more from those lower ticket sales. Because people can't really rush out and buy a $700 painting, but most of them can swing a $20 print. So that's just something for me to consider when I'm trying out for DragonCon again. And if I do the show again next year, I don't think I'm going to be in attendance unless I have a table. It's just too expensive. The parking was $40 a day, and that was on top of my ticket. And because I drove in, I tried to save money by not doing the hotel, but then I missed out on all the fun times after the show was over at night. So it's really been difficult doing DragonCon when I don't have a table. So that's where I'm at with DragonCon. I've done most of the writing events and the panels before, so for me, I'm kind of done fighting the crowds to do the show, but it's still a great place for maybe if I can swing it, I'm definitely going to always drop by art show and hopefully do better next year with more mindfulness towards budget options for the crowd, or a range of budgets, because I feel like there always needs to be an original piece there to draw people into the bay, and then some mid-tier items for those who can't swing those higher prices. So I learned a lot. I'm always learning something new every year I do this show, and hey, better luck next year. I've already eaten my feelings, so now it's time for healing. Yes, now comes my favorite part of the studio hangouts, answering your questions. Now, I draw these questions from comments that are left on the video, so if you have a question to leave me, leave it in the comments, and I will pick up your question for the next month. But those who are my Patreon patrons will get priority in the question queues, and I'll be answering their questions first. So, on that note, the first question up for this month is Vanessa. Vanessa asks, how do you deal with the fear of failure or fear of bad feedback? Holy cow, is that a relevant question now as I'm dealing with failure after the DragonCon art show? And I don't recommend eating your feelings. That's maybe a very short-term temporary fix. What I do recommend is just be patient with yourself and don't be too hard. First off, allow yourself to feel these emotions of failure, because we're not machines. We aren't producing this stuff, printing it out of our brains. You know, we are real human beings who put our heart and our souls into our work. That's just the nature of being a creative individual. And really, you just have to think of it this way. If you stop doing things because you fail or are fearful of failing, that's really boring. I mean, if you never try anything new or never try anything because you're scared of it, that to me leads to feeling very unfulfilled. Like if you're always doing everything safe and never expanding, then 20 years from now, what have you done with yourself? You know, what motivates me, and this is really morbid, is to think when I'm on my deathbed, what am I going to regret not doing? And yeah, maybe people aren't loving the ladies of the months right now, but at the same time, I'm really passionate about them. I want to spread the beauty of Art Nouveau to the world and to more people who aren't familiar with Mucha's legacy, and that keeps me going even if it seems like that project's not very successful. The core of that project is to spread the love of Art Nouveau to other people and to continue the legacy of beautiful birthstones or gemstones that Mucha started with his own series. So it's like revitalizing that artist and sharing something I find really beautiful with other people. And I guess the takeaway from that is figure out what the core of your project is and why you want to share it in the first place, and try to remember that there are other people who are just as passionate about it as you are, and find those people and remember that they exist, and that the one shitty person who's going to criticize it, if it's not constructive criticism, then you really don't need to listen to it. So just do it. Do it. The next question is from Alexandra. Alexandra asks, you seem so busy. How do you make time for everything, including your blogging and networking? The truth is, I am crap at this. I use Hootsuite, so that helps me post my different brands rather easily because it's a tool for social networks that I'll connect into it and lets you post to different places and lets you schedule posts ahead. So that makes me seem like I'm more active than I actually am. But the true answer is I don't get a lot of sleep. Don't recommend this strategy. Don't get a lot of sleep. I'm addicted to Facebook, and yeah, I give the appearance of time management, but I'm not very good at it. Just try to schedule a routine. That's the best piece of advice I can give to anyone who feels like they're too busy or they feel overwhelmed. Try to have a routine, like 2 to 3 hours in the morning. You're checking social media and your email and responding to people, and then you're going to work. So you don't actually spend the whole day trying to keep up with all of the internet, because that's pretty impossible. Alas, here we are at the end. Unless you are a Patreon patron, you can keep watching the Patreon version of this video. If you're one of my Patreon patrons, you'll get all the little tidbits I've been recording, including my DragonCon prep video, which also talks about some of the suppliers I've been using for framing and whatnot, and some of my show presentation. I also took a few fun videos at the convention that I wanted to share with you guys. There's just lots of fun behind-the-scenes sneak peeks for Patreon people, so if you're interested in that kind of thing, go to Patreon and pitch in. You can see it for as little as $1. And for everybody else, thanks for joining me this month. If you like my art and you want to see more, check out angelasasser.com. You can also like and subscribe this channel on YouTube for more tutorials, time lapses, and other videos. Leave me some questions in the comments, and I would love to chat about them in my next studio hangout. Thanks for joining me. See you next month. Wishing you all inspiration.